Close citing other evidence, Senator Dick Durbin, D.L., asked Christine Blasey Ford how certain she was that Judge Brett Kavanaugh assaulted her. USA Today: It happened years ago. It upended his career anyway. That, says Durham, North Carolina-based attorney Carrie Sutton, was the experience of a former client who was falsely accused of sexual assault while in college and eventually cleared of the allegation. He had an excellent job in the Silicon Valley, says Sutton, who specializes in such cases. Then, someone at his company, just this summer, Googled his name. A person he worked with said they were uncomfortable having him there, and he got fired from his job years after the case in which he was cleared because the internet is forever. The nation is riveted to the drama playing out in Washington, D.C., in which Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh has been accused of sexually assaulting Christine Blasey Ford when they were teenagers, in high school more than 35 years ago. Both testified Thursday before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Kavanaugh has also been accused of committing a similar act in college and reportedly by a third woman of exhibiting aggressive behavior toward young women, allegations that he has vigorously denied. But even when a seat on the nation's highest court isn't at stake, what happens in a person's youth, from a social media misfire to a criminal conviction, can hinder their ability to earn an income for decades to come. It only takes one claim or allegation, true or not, to change the arc of your life, says Sutton, who often speaks to young athletes as well as members of college fraternities and sororities. I tell them, do not put yourself in a position where you're increasing your risk. Just don't do it. Alleged instances of youthful bad acts by high-profile personalities have seized the headlines recently. At a book signing in July, a one-time classmate of former communications director Sean Spicer accused him of calling him the N-word when they both attended a Catholic prep school in Rhode Island. The Associated Press reported that a publicist speaking for Spicer said the charge was outrageous. Last November, college basketball star LiAngelo Ball was arrested in Hangzhou, China, along with two of his UCLA teammates for shoplifting, leading to an indefinite suspension from the Bruins. In a December interview with Today, Ball said, "We left thinking we'd just get away. You know how kids think. I didn't realize till I got back to my hotel. I'm like, that was stupid, but by the end, it was too late." More. Christine Ford to senators. I'm back, quote, 100% sure that Brett Kavanaugh assaulted me. More. Does yes mean yes? Can you give consent to have sex to an app? More. Christine Blasey Ford and Brett Kavanaugh testify at Supreme Court confirmation hearing months later. On an episode of his family's show Ball in the Family, Ball seemed to attribute his failure to get drafted by the NBA to that incident. "It sucks that I didn't get drafted tonight," he said. "I guess it's the way I play, I guess, or the expletive I did off the court." And in February, Blue Apron said in a tweet that it would no longer be working with Teen Mom 2 star Janelle Evans, an action that followed some on social media denouncing her behavior. Another Twitter user questioned Evans being dismissed because of mistakes she may have made when she was younger. "This is so sad," wrote at Hannah Hits on Feb. 9. Because of her issues years ago. "I'm disappointed you cut ties with her just because she has a past." Indeed, the past is perhaps more present than ever in the era of social media, when photos, posts, and off-color jokes can live on seemingly forever via Facebook or Instagram. Close. Christine Blasey Ford, the first of the two star witnesses before the Senate Judiciary Committee, has arrived on Capitol Hill, Sept. 27. App social media changed everything. Certainly everything has changed with the advent of the internet and social media, says Andrew Challenger, vice president of outplacement consulting firm Challenger Gray. There's a lot of history about people available very quickly online. And it has changed the way people are hired, and it means a job candidate's past is going to be part of the decision in a way it never has before. A 2015 survey by the Society for Human Resource Management found that 43% of organizations used social media sites like LinkedIn or Facebook, or online searches, to vet job applicants. And more than 1 in 3 had disqualified a candidate in the previous year because of troubling information, such as details that didn't match those on the application, discovered through such a search. Close. When Sen. Dianne Feinstein asked Christine Blasey Ford how she so clearly remembered her alleged encounter with Brett Kavanaugh. She said, "Basic memory functions," and went on to explain the science behind them. USA Today. In addition to often scanning an applicant's social media profile, employers will typically confirm a job applicant's previous employment and their education. However, they may skip checking the candidate's high school record if he or she has attended college, says Phyllis Hartman, president and founder of the Pittsburgh-based human resources firm PGHR Consulting. Whether an employer digs as deep as high school to assess a candidate's fitness for a job also likely depends on the position. If somebody is going to be the embodiment of the company, if you're hiring a CEO, their personal life is going to be in consideration, Challenger says. But for a mid-manager role, they're not going to do that type of inquiry, and what somebody did in high school is probably not going to stop them from achieving a certain degree of success. In life, companies may want to sift through an applicant's youth for egregious actions if they are going to be taking on a sensitive role, dealing with children for instance, or finances, Hartman says. Mariana Cordia represented Alexander Kroskis, one of the young men involved in a notorious robbery of a Smoothie King in Bethesda, Maryland, in 2006. Kroskis, who worked in the store, was charged as an adult and pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit robbery. Cordia says she's had many other clients who were teenagers when they committed crimes that were dealt with in adult court and who later needed her help once again. "I've had clients come in need a letter written by me to explain what happened in a case to show a potential employer, to explain it away, so they could continue in the process of getting employed," she says. The challenges can start in college. What do they put down on their college application? How do they address it because they fear that's a neon sign on their applications that will give the universities an opportunity to reject them, she says. With a law practice based in Rockville, Maryland, Cordia says many of those she's represented want to work for the federal government, which typically requires a background check. "That's really tough if you have a prior conviction," she says. And finally, there are others who may have not been questioned about a criminal record when first hired but might face such scrutiny when up for a promotion. That's why the moral turpitude becomes a really big deal, Cordia says. If someone was convicted of second-degree assault, for instance, the type of charge that may result from a fight in a bar, a supervisor might want to know, is he a hothead? Is he someone who's going to be aggressive to staff? Still, when Hartman was the HR director for a plastics manufacturing plant years ago, she recalls hiring 2 ex-felons. They'd gone to jail when they were quite young and turned their lives around, she says. They were loyal, hardworking. They never did anything negative while they were working for us, so can you judge somebody based on some stupid mistake they made in the past? Increasingly, there are jurisdictions that are saying no. Second chances. According to Xperther.com, several states and cities have banned the box that job applicants are often asked to check stating whether they have a past conviction. Those jurisdictions include California, which as of Jan. 1. Prohibited businesses with at least 5 workers from doing criminal background checks until an applicant has received an offer, and Detroit, where city contractors with at least a $25,000 contract can't ask applicants about criminal convictions until the business either interviews the job candidate or concludes the potential employee is qualified. Credit inquiries are also increasingly being discarded. 12 jurisdictions, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Guam, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Nevada, Oregon, Vermont and Washington, restrict the use of credit history in regard to hiring decisions. According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, I think people are driven to finding out more about the people they're hiring, says Hartman. The other side of that though is there's also more regulation related to how much you can discover from a formal standpoint. So there's some resistance to asking too much, and at the same time there's interest in finding out more. When a person stumbles over their past, often there are second chances. But many others may be damaged professionally, or live in perpetual fear that they will be, because of youthful mistakes. Ebony Marr, 34, an academic counselor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice's Prisoner Reentry Institute, says that she was in and out of jail over a 3-year period as she battled drug abuse. While she did not personally have difficulty finding work in the wake of that experience, she says many of the formerly incarcerated job seekers she's helped have struggled. Their ability to get jobs is one of the biggest issues that we hear from our students, says Mar. Yet, those are the workers that work the hardest. The re-entry community already feels they're behind, so we work harder to prove ourselves. I feel like I always have to put my best foot forward and shine to make up for all the stuff in my past. When it isn't truly the past that persistently follows you as a fabrication, it can be even more daunting. North Carolina attorney Sutton began to focus on representing those facing allegations of campus sexual assault after she worked on behalf of Matt Zasch, part of the Duke lacrosse team whose members were falsely accused of raping a woman at a party in March 2006. The accuser had initially said Zasch was one of the men she believed attacked her, but Zasch was ultimately not charged. The 3 team members who were arrested were later declared innocent by the Attorney General of North Carolina. I hesitate to say anything about Mr. Zasch in particular, Sutton says, but as far as all of my clients who are accused falsely, it haunts them every single day. For those who may have been part of their college's theater department, or leader of a team or fraternity, such activities are a vital part of their resume, Sutton says. Yet, if during that time, you were accused of a sexual crime, and it was commonly known, now you have to think about, do I tell the potential employer? If I don't tell them, are they going to Google it and find out? And then is it going to look like I should have told them? It's a constant calculus. How do I move forward through this continuing minefield of being falsely accused? While parents should, absolutely, drive home the message to their teenagers that what they post online can become an obstacle years later, Challenger says that the message could be even broader. It makes sense to talk about how to treat people in a way that's kind, and that those interactions today could have an impact on your future no matter how young you are. More, how to raise boys in the But the old false allegation just jumped up out of the weeds and grabbed him. Read or share this story. https://usat.ly/2nltbz7